Hello and welcome to Verified Live. We start this hour in Ukraine because President Zelensky says a fierce battle is underway in the Kharkiv region after Russia launched a surprise attack. Small groups of troops with armoured vehicles pushed through the front lines. Military sources say advanced about a kilometre before being pushed back. There are reports of sustained Russian shelling. Ukraine's defence ministry says reinforcements have been sent to the region. Here's President Zelensky.
Russia started a new wave of offensive actions in the Kharkiv region. Ukrainian forces met them there with brigades and artillery fire. It's important to understand that they can increase and bring more forces in this direction. It is a fact.
Let's go straight to Kyiv and our Ukraine correspondent James Waterhouse. And James, tell us more, because as I was saying there, this appears to have taken Ukraine by surprise.
Well, I think Kyiv would disagree with that. I mean, what they are saying, Matthew, is that we were anticipating an operation such as this, but they are nevertheless having to move reserve troops into this part of the northeastern Kharkiv region. And it's really centering, it seems, around the town of Vovchansk, where 3,000 people live and are currently being evacuated. It has long been anticipated for the past few weeks that Russia is going to try and mount some kind of offensive in this area. Around 35,000 troops are thought to have gathered across the border inside Russia. I think we are some way short of that, but Moscow's been pretty upfront about its desire to establish a so-called buffer zone to try and increase the gap between their respective troops, because Ukrainian forces have increasingly been shelling the Russian region of Belgorod, to the slight nervousness of some Western allies. So clearly Russia wants to increase that gap, but of course fighting is about shaping as well. And if you have these Russian forces drawing Ukrainian troops and trying to make further incursions, and if they were to deploy those troops further behind, then it could amount to something more. But I don't think many in Ukrainian or Western circles are expecting the city of Kharkiv itself, the country's second biggest city, to fall, as well as cities like Sumy, simply because of the number of Russian troops we're talking about and the losses that Russia, as well as Ukraine, have sustained so far.
James, just briefly, where are we when it comes to weapons? We know that finally that deadlock in Washington was broken recently, but where are we when it comes to Ukraine actually defending itself?
It's a bit murky at the moment. We know some of that Western help is arriving. We don't know what. One would imagine it would be mostly artillery shells, because the Americans had stockpiles in Europe itself. But this unlocking of Western aid won't be realised immediately. And even once it all arrives, so those medium-range missiles, those air defence systems to counter Russian air superiority, Ukraine's goal for now is to simply stabilise the front line.
James Waterhouse there in Kyiv, thanks very much.